Hello again, welcome to Bridlington, and this is Monday the 4th of September 2023, and as you can see the tide is quite high. In fact, this is a 6.4 metre high tide. You can see in the distance there the south shore, and the tide is right up almost against the grass. See the gigantic wind turbines just turning in the faint breeze. You rarely see the tide as high as this. The old underwater toilet or latrine, harbour latrine from days gone by is well underwater at the moment. Look at that. Just imagine the flushing effect when the tide goes out, how it must have been in days gone by. We can't check the tread depth on the underwater tyres that seem to be embedded in this wharf, which is in fact Bridlington Crane Wharf. It's probably about 20 feet underwater there at the moment due to this exceptionally high tide. Here we see the old, over 100 years old structure at the back of Bridlington Harbour, made out of wood and concrete and gradually rotting away as the decades pass. You can actually look up some photographs of Bridlington Harbour in the 1920s and you'll see this structure in all its glory, when there were loads of fishing cobbles against it and people sat on the steps which went up there, up the wall onto the harbour. Here is the female equivalent of the sea latrine. It's quite remarkable to see the harbour with so much depth of water on such a day when there's no wind to make a noise on the camera there. We'll take a walk past the pleasure boat, the Yorkshire Belle. It's a beautiful morning here at Bridlington. We're a 6.4 metre high tide now, just receding. Unfortunately no one's here. We arrived not long ago, but we set off at 5:30 from just south of Leeds. What a shame really, it's a high tide like this. You'd think that people would get up early and get a trip on the Yorkshire Bell in one of the last days of good weather in 2023, because this sort of weather doesn't last. There might not even be another day like this for another 8 months. That's Venus, the sailing cobble leaving Bridlington Harbour. I think that's 100 years old, or over 100 years old. I might be wrong, but I think it was made in 1900. I should say built in 1900, actually, with that clinker overlap of larch panelling, presumably, that I filmed in the Sailing Cobble Festival a few weeks ago, which took place just over there. If you are familiar with Bridlington at all, if you've been here on a day trip or holidays, you can judge the level of the tide yourself. It is quite high. Starting to fall now though. Pier Jean putting out a bit of black smoke there. I wonder what it's actually running on. Looks like a quite ancient diesel engine. I love these old diesel engines. It'll be so sad when they've all gone. Well, it's either a diesel engine or it's a petrol engine running extremely rich. Seems as though no one's bothered with air pollution in Bridlington Harbour. I don't know whether. Look at the black smoke, wow. Bridlington Pavilion. Moving around to the end of the promenade in the centre there, onto the wind turbines. You can see on the stonework there how the wet line mark, and the same over here. It's fallen about half a metre already as the tide. And we can see by the muddy water of the harbour here now coming out and into Bridlington Bay. You see there are some feathers there moving past, and the eddies and swirling currents means that water is moving out of Bridlington Harbour now and back out to sea. 9 AM on Monday the 4th of September 2023. Hardly anything moves. seen a lot of things at Bridlington over the years. Back in the 1950s, or was it the 1960s, there was a wooden pleasure boat. Its hull was made of wood planks, and it seems it was going out with passengers somewhere here at the entrance to the harbour, perhaps at low tide, and it tapped its bottom on a sandbank, or someone said a rock. Anyway, none of these ships have watertight compartments, like I said, and apparently it sank rapidly by the stern, but fortunately in only 5 feet of water. I've seen another of these big pleasure boats. There used to be lots of them, and the engine failed just outside the harbour here, and one of the other pleasure boats started to tow it out, and I think there was some sort of deal arranged whereby they would another pleasure boat would drag it out there to a shortened cruise, and they would have seemingly half of the takings, you know, the money. Anyway, I was there at the time, and they tried to tow it with a really thin rope which snapped and lashed back. And bearing in mind this was the 1950s and I'm a child then, and some of the blokes on board had been in the Navy during World War II, and they basically took over the boat. They used a thicker rope and saved the day, basically. Over there, where you can just see the wind turbines right now, I've seen a whale washed onto the beach. And here there used to be probably 50 or 60 yellow rowing boats that have possibly been here since the 20s, and you could hire a rowing boat, and you know, even in quite choppy sea, you could rent a rowing boat with no skill whatsoever and just row outside the harbour here, and you get a whole fleet of them with people who could hardly row. I think health and safety probably put an end to that sort of thing. Either that or the public's taste changed. I think back in the day, back in the 50s, we were a lot more tolerant of risks, but then a lot of people died because of that. You'd have your fleet of yellow rowing boats, and they would sort of tie up behind Bridlington's Crane Wharf there. Very much similar to the rowing boats that are still available to hire at Knaresborough. And there was a ferry. You could go from one side, then that's the fish terminal now at the end, and you can't walk onto that end bit. It's sealed off to the general public. But at one time in the 1950s, this would be a very popular resort. At a time like this, it would be packed with people. And you wanted to go over to that pier there, no problem. There was a chap with a big rowing boat that probably took about 20 people. Rowing boat's the wrong term for it really, but it did have oars. Think about the ferryman over the River Styx, only you were actually alive while you were doing this, and you'd pay 2 old pence. These are the actual steps. Talk about ghosts from times gone by. The 1950s, you could almost touch, I can almost touch the 1950s. People from that time, long gone, sadly. Looks like the first crew arriving for the Yorkshire Belle this morning. Right now I've just checked, the air temperature is 13°C and the water temperature is 14°C. Pretty cool, as you can see. If you get flung into the water or fall into the water in this area, people don't live very long, but this is the best time of the year to fall in if it has to be done. These steps are from the true golden age of Bridlington, made in the 1920s, I think, and have since been repaired. That was in the pre-busker and amusement area, of course. We'll just walk up here and I'll show you the old floral pavilion. Now, I remember the end of one era and the start of another. None of this was here. You can hear the noise, and it was pretty much like this when it all seemed to start in the early 1980s. In the early 1980s, this structure was the old floral pavilion. In fact, you can see the sign for it there at the back. Yorkshire Bell now has the gangplank up. They've been fishing for lobsters. Bridlington, of course, being the lobster capital of the UK and possibly the whole world. So we've got UVI level 3, the wind is 6 miles an hour from the south, air quality is 2, and sunset tonight will be at 7:45 p.m. And so today, on Monday the 4th of September 2023, it's goodbye from Bridlington. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye for now.